What if the greatest story ever told has a missing chapter that could change everything we know about history and spirituality? Imagine Jesus, the central figure of Christianity, traveling across Asia, learning from Buddhist monks, and gaining wisdom in the mystical lands of India. Sounds unbelievable, right? But what if there's more to this story than meets the eye? Stick around as we unravel the mystery of Jesus' lost years and explore the mind-bending theory that connects him with ancient Buddhist teachings. Hey there, curious minds. Matt here from Buddha's Wisdom. Our comment section's been buzzing with talk about Jesus in India. Our previous videos, Was Jesus a Bodhisattva? And Why Buddhists Don't Believe in God, sparked some intriguing discussions. So today we're exploring further into this fascinating topic. Here's the deal. Young Jesus vanishes from the Bible story and reappears at 30, ready to change the world. But where was he? Was he trekking across Asia, mastering meditation, or inventing ancient superfoods? Some folks think Jesus might have hit the Silk Road for a spiritual adventure in India, soaking up Buddhist wisdom. Sounds wild, right? Or does it? We're about to explore this internet-breaking theory that's got everyone talking. Grab a snack and get comfy. We're on a journey that's part ancient mystery, part spiritual exploration, and 100% mind-bending. Now, before we jump in, let's get serious for a moment. This video explores theories and ideas, not established historical facts. We're discussing concepts some might find controversial, so keep an open mind. Our goal isn't to challenge or change anyone's beliefs. We're exploring interesting ideas gaining traction online. What we're about to discuss is speculation based on various sources, some not accepted by mainstream historians or religious scholars. Approach this information critically, do your own research, and draw your own conclusions. Respecting diverse beliefs and promoting understanding is key. If this topic grabs you, consider it a starting point for further learning, not a definitive answer. Chapter 1. The Missing Years of Jesus. All right, let's set the stage for our historical mystery. We're talking about Jesus of Nazareth, the central figure of Christianity. The Gospels give us a detailed account of Jesus' birth and early childhood. We hear about the manger, the wise men, and even a 12-year-old Jesus impressing scholars at the temple. Luke 2:46-47 tells us, After 3 days they found him in the temple courts, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. Everyone who heard him was amazed at his understanding and his answers. But then, radio silence. It's like someone hit the pause button on Jesus' story. We go from this prodigy kid to nothing. Zip. Nada. The Gospels skip ahead, and suddenly we're dealing with a 30-year-old Jesus. Fast forward about 18 years, and Jesus is back on the scene. He's getting baptized by John in the Jordan River, gathering disciples, and kicking off his ministry. Matthew 3:13 picks up the story. Then Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan to be baptized by John. But what about those missing years? That's a long time to be off the grid, especially for someone so important. This gap in Jesus' timeline has puzzled scholars, theologians, and curious minds for centuries. We're talking about the formative years of his life, his teens and 20s. For most of us, that's when we figure out who we are and what we want to do with our lives. It's when we form our beliefs, challenge our assumptions, and start to see the world differently. So, what was Jesus up to during this crucial period? Chapter 2. The Buddhist Connection Theory. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Some people suggest that during these lost years, Jesus might have traveled far beyond the borders of Judea. They propose that he journeyed east, possibly as far as India, where he encountered Buddhist teachings and philosophy. I know what you're thinking. Jesus in India? Come on, Matt. It sounds like the plot of a Dan Brown novel, right? But hang on, because this theory isn't as new or as crazy as you might think. It's been around for over a century, and while it's certainly not mainstream, it's captured the imagination of many scholars and spiritual seekers. This theory first hit the scene in a big way back in 1894. A Russian journalist named Nicholas Notovich claimed he'd found ancient Tibetan scrolls that told the story of Saint Isa, supposedly another name for Jesus. According to Notovich, these scrolls described Isa's journey to India and his studies there. Of course, Notovich's claims were met with more than a few raised eyebrows. Many scholars called BS, and some still do. But the idea stuck around, popping up again and again over the years. Fast forward to modern times, and this theory's got new life thanks to the internet and some popular documentaries. The BBC's Jesus in India from 2008 brought the idea to a whole new audience. It's like the theory got a Netflix reboot, and people are binging it. Chapter 3. The Legend of Saint Isa. Let's talk about the legend of Saint Isa. It's like the ancient world's version of a viral story, spreading across continents and captivating imaginations for centuries. So who's this Isa character? Well, according to some Eastern traditions, Isa is another name for Jesus. But this isn't the Jesus you might be familiar with from Sunday school. This is Jesus the traveler, the seeker, the student of Eastern wisdom. The story goes that Isa, aka Jesus, spent his lost years wandering through India and Tibet, soaking up knowledge like a spiritual sponge. He supposedly studied with Buddhists, Hindus, and other Eastern sages, learning their ways and teachings. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. There are actually some ancient texts that mention this Isa figure. One of the most famous is the Bhavishya Purana, an ancient Hindu text. It talks about a prophet named Isa Masih. Sounds a lot like Jesus Messiah, doesn't it? Who came from the West. But wait, there's more. Some folks point to Tibetan manuscripts that allegedly tell the tale of Isa's travels and studies. These texts describe Isa learning from Buddhist monks, debating with Hindu priests, and even challenging the caste system. It's like Jesus was on some kind of spiritual backpacking trip, collecting wisdom instead of souvenirs. Another intriguing piece of evidence comes from the Nathanamavali, a collection of Hindu texts. These texts refer to a figure named Isa, who traveled and lived in India. According to the Nathanamavali, Isa studied with Hindu and Buddhist sages, adopting their teachings and philosophies. The Nathanamavali describes Isa as a wise and enlightened figure who sought spiritual knowledge in the East. This aligns with the idea that Jesus could have traveled to India during his lost years, absorbing the rich, spiritual traditions of the region. These references in the Nathanamavali add another layer of credibility to the theory. They suggest that there were indeed ancient accounts of a figure resembling Jesus spending time in India, learning from the great spiritual masters of the time. Adding another fascinating layer to this story is the tradition of the Apostle Thomas visiting India. Modern Syrian Christians of Kerala, who represent a significant Christian population in India, believe that Thomas, the disciple who famously questioned Jesus' resurrection, traveled to India in AD 52 and baptized their forefathers. This tradition is supported by various historical and religious accounts. The belief that Thomas established Christian communities in Kerala suggests early and direct interactions between Christianity and India. This connection further supports the plausibility of Jesus or his early followers having knowledge of Indian spiritual traditions. These texts, along with the Bhavishya Purana, Tibetan manuscripts, and the traditions of Apostle Thomas, build a compelling narrative. They weave together a story of a young Jesus, traveling far from home, seeking wisdom in the East, and returning with teachings that would later resonate deeply with both Eastern and Western philosophies. Before we dive into the theories, let me share a quick personal story. When I first heard about the possibility of Jesus traveling to India, I was skeptical too. But then I remembered a time when I took a spontaneous trip, seeking something I couldn't quite define. That journey opened my mind to new perspectives and philosophies I never considered before. It made me think, if a regular guy like me could have such a transformative experience, why not Jesus? Chapter 5. The Kashmir Connection. All right, folks, we're about to get into one of the wildest parts of this theory, the Kashmir Connection. It's like the season finale cliffhanger of the Jesus in India saga. So picture this. Jesus doesn't survive the crucifixion. Plot twist. and decides to retire in Kashmir. Yeah, you heard that right. Kashmir, that beautiful mountainous region between India and Pakistan. At the heart of this theory is a shrine in Srinagar, Kashmir's largest city. It's called the Roza Bal, or the Tomb of Jesus. Local tradition says it's the final resting place of a prophet named Uz Asaf. Now, some people believe Uz Asaf was another name for Jesus. The tomb itself is pretty unassuming, a simple building with a grave inside. But it's become a major attraction for spiritual tourists and curiosity seekers. It's like the Da Vinci Code, but with more mountain views and fewer European art museums. Now you might be wondering, what's the evidence for this? Well, supporters of the theory point to a few things. They talk about local legends that have been passed down for generations. They mention ancient texts that supposedly reference Jesus' life in Kashmir. Some even claim there are similarities between Kashmiri and ancient Israeli customs. One of the most intriguing bits of evidence is a pair of carved footprints near the tomb. Believers say these footprints show marks of crucifixion wounds. It's like a spiritual version of those Hollywood handprints, but way older and way more controversial. Chapter 6, From Scrolls to Screens. Let's dive into how this theory has captured imaginations in books and on screens. It's like a historical mystery that's gone viral across different media. First, let's talk documentaries. The BBC's Jesus in India from 2008 was a game changer. They sent a crew trekking through India and Tibet, exploring ancient monasteries and texts. It was like Indiana Jones meets religious studies, minus the boulder chases. Then we've got the History Channel's The Lost Years of Jesus from 2007. Part of their Decoding the Past series, this one dug into various theories about Jesus' missing years, with the India connection taking center stage. Discovery Channel jumped on the bandwagon with Jesus in Kashmir, The Lost Tomb, in 2007. This one zeroed in on that mysterious tomb in Srinagar we talked about earlier. Think CSI, Ancient Kashmir, with researchers playing historical detectives. Now, why did these documentaries blow up? Well, they took this fringe theory out of dusty academic circles and beamed it into living rooms worldwide. Suddenly, dinner table conversations were less about what's for dessert and more about whether Jesus went on a gap year to India. But the small screen isn't the only place this theory's been making waves. Let's hit the books, shall we? It all kicked off with Nicholas Notovich's The Unknown Life of Jesus Christ back in 1894. This book was like a bomb in the world of religious studies. Notovich claimed he'd found ancient Tibetan scrolls telling the tale of Jesus, or Isa, in India. Talk about a plot twist. But here's the kicker. No one's ever found these scrolls again. Convenient, right? Fast forward to 1908, and we've got Levi H. Dowling's The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ. This book takes Notovich's idea and runs with it, describing Jesus' supposed travels through India, Tibet, and Persia in vivid detail. It's like a spiritual travelogue minus the Instagram posts. In more recent times, Holger Kirsten published Jesus Lived in India in 1981. This book became the modern Bible, pun intended, for the Jesus in India theory, compiling various evidence and arguments. It's become the go-to source for anyone wanting to dive deep into this idea. And let's not forget Elizabeth Clare Prophet's The Lost Years of Jesus from 1984. This book explores various theories about Jesus' life between ages 12 and 30, reading like a historical detective novel, piecing together clues from across cultures. These books and documentaries aren't just gathering dust on shelves or in streaming queues. They've sparked debates, inspired further research, and got people looking at familiar stories in completely new ways. They've created a whole subgenre of spiritual historical speculation. But here's the million-dollar question. Are these sources legit? Well, that's where things get tricky. Mainstream scholars often criticize these works for lack of solid evidence. They point out inconsistencies, question the authenticity of sources, and raise eyebrows at some of the more dramatic claims. But here's the thing. Whether these books and documentaries are historically accurate or not, they've had a real impact. They've got people thinking about religious history in new ways. challenging assumptions, and opening minds to new possibilities. It's a reminder of the power of media and literature. They can shape how we see the world, challenge our beliefs, and inspire us to explore beyond our usual boundaries. So while we might not want to take these sources as gospel, pun intended again, they're definitely worth a look if you're curious about this theory. Who knows? Maybe diving into one of these books or watching one of these documentaries will spark your own journey of discovery. Just remember to pack your critical thinking skills along with your curiosity. Chapter 7. Teachings Across Borders. Now let's get to the juicy part, comparing Jesus' teachings with Buddhist ideas. It's like we're setting up a philosophical boxing match, but instead of throwing punches, they're throwing wisdom. First up, we've got the golden rule. Jesus said, "Do to others what you would have them do to you." Buddha's take. Consider others as yourself. It's like they're cosmic twins separated at birth, preaching the same message of treating others right. Then there's the whole deal with materialism. Jesus was all about, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God. Meanwhile, Buddha's over here saying, the root of suffering is attachment. Both of them are basically telling us to cool it with the shopping sprees and focus on what really matters. Let's talk about inner peace. Jesus drops this gem. The kingdom of God is within you. Buddha's not far off with, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. It's like they're both saying, hey, stop looking for happiness in your Instagram likes and start looking inside yourself. Now on to forgiveness. Jesus is famous for saying, turn the other cheek. Buddha's spin. Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. They're both pushing this radical idea of breaking the cycle of revenge with some good old-fashioned forgiveness. But wait, there's more. Some scholars argue that these similarities aren't just coincidences. They suggest that Jesus might have directly encountered these Buddhist teachings during his lost years, integrating them into his own philosophy. Consider the concept of compassion. Both Jesus and Buddha emphasize the importance of compassion towards others. Jesus' parable of the Good Samaritan teaches us to help others regardless of their background, while Buddha's teachings encourage boundless compassion for all beings. The practice of mindfulness and meditation is another intriguing parallel. While not explicitly mentioned in the New Testament, the idea of quiet reflection and prayer is central to Jesus' teachings. Similarly, meditation is a core practice in Buddhism, promoting inner peace and enlightenment. Moreover, the notion of selflessness and service to others is deeply embedded in both traditions. Jesus washed the feet of his disciples, teaching humility and service. Buddha's teachings also emphasize the importance of serving others and living a life free from selfish desires. These striking similarities suggest a potential exchange of ideas. Could Jesus have been inspired by Buddhist teachings during his travels? The parallels in their messages certainly give weight to this fascinating theory. Chapter 8. The Skeptic's Corner. All right, let's pump the brakes for a second and look at the other side of the coin. It's time to put on our skeptic hats and see what the scholars have to say about this whole Jesus in India theory. First off, mainstream historians and biblical scholars aren't exactly jumping on this bandwagon. They're more likely to give it the side eye than a thumbs up. Why? Well, they point out that there's a glaring lack of solid historical evidence. It's like trying to prove you had a pet dinosaur as a kid, without any photos, bones, or really big footprints. Many experts argue that if Jesus had made such an epic journey to India, surely someone would have written about it at the time. We're talking about a pretty big deal here, not exactly something you'd forget to mention. Yet, the Gospels and other early Christian writings are silent on this supposed Asian adventure. Then there's the issue of timing. Some scholars say the timeline doesn't add up. They argue that Jesus likely spent his youth in Nazareth, learning the family trade of carpentry. It's not like he could hop on a plane for a quick trip to India. We're talking about a long, dangerous journey that would have taken years. Let's not forget about language. If Jesus had studied in India, wouldn't he have picked up some Sanskrit or Pali? Yet, the Gospels show him speaking Aramaic and possibly some Greek or Hebrew. No sign of him dropping any Buddhist lingo. Now, about those similarities between Christian and Buddhist teachings. Many scholars say these can be explained without Jesus taking a trip to India. They point out that some of these ideas were already floating around the Mediterranean world at the time. It's like how you and your friend on the other side of the country might both be into the same TikTok trend. Ideas can spread without direct contact. All right, folks. We've been on quite the journey today, haven't we? We've explored ancient texts, peeked into Tibetan monasteries, and even checked out a tomb in Kashmir. All to chase down this wild idea that Jesus might have been channeling his inner Buddha during those mysterious, lost years. So what do we make of all this? Well, here's the deal. We can't say for sure if Jesus ever set foot in India or studied Buddhism. The evidence isn't there to make that claim. But you know what? That's okay. Because sometimes, the value is in the questions we ask, not the answers we find. This whole theory, whether you buy it or not, gets us thinking. It makes us look at familiar stories from new angles. It reminds us that history is complex, full of mysteries and possibilities we might never fully unravel. And isn't that kind of awesome? It also shows us how ideas can cross borders and cultures in surprising ways. Whether it's through ancient trade routes or modern-day YouTube videos, human beings have always been sharing and adapting each other's thoughts and beliefs. It's like we're all part of this giant, centuries-long group chat of ideas. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to believe. That's your call. But I do hope this little expedition into the land of what if has got your mental gears turning. Maybe it's made you curious to learn more about different religious traditions. Or perhaps it's inspired you to dig deeper into history's unsolved mysteries. So here's my challenge to you. Keep exploring. Keep questioning. Whether it's this theory or any other aspect of history or religion that piques your interest, don't be afraid to dive in. Read books, watch documentaries, talk to people with different perspectives. Be curious, but also be critical. Look for evidence, not exciting stories. And hey, why not start right now? Drop a comment below with your thoughts on this theory. Do you think there might be something to it? Or is it an interesting what-if scenario? Maybe you've got your own theory about what Jesus was up to during those lost years. Share it. If you enjoyed this mind-bending journey, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more people find our videos and join in on these fascinating discussions. And if you want to keep exploring the wild world of religious history and philosophy with us, smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Remember, folks, history isn't memorizing dates and names. It's about exploring the big questions, challenging our assumptions, and imagining the possibilities. So keep asking those questions, keep seeking that knowledge, and who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to uncover the next big historical mystery. This is Matt from Buddha's Wisdom, signing off. Until next time, keep your mind open and your curiosity fierce.